Have you ever stood at the edge of complete darkness, feeling like there was no way out? That moment when hope seems like a distant memory, and you're convinced that this is where your story ends. I was there, at midnight, alone, broken. And that's exactly when everything changed. My name doesn't matter as much as what happened to me on that nighty night. That should have been my last, but instead became my first. This isn't just another testimony. This is about the moment when human strength fails, when logic offers no answers, and when something far greater steps in. Because sometimes, the miracles we need most happen in our darkest hours, when we've exhausted every option and there's nothing left but surrender. What I'm about to share with you isn't fiction. It's raw. It's real. And it might just change how you see your own impossible situations. So if you're watching this right now, and you feel like you're drowning in your own midnight moment, stay with me. Because what happened to me was unreserved, just for me as a reminder that grace finds us exactly where we are. 3 years ago, my life looked nothing like what people saw on the outside. I had mastered the art of the smile, the "I'm fine" that everyone wanted to hear. But behind closed doors, I was collapsing under the weight of mistakes I couldn't undo, pain I couldn't escape, and a future that looked absolutely hopeless. The debts were crushing. The relationships were shattered. My health was failing, and the unbearable shame of feeling like I had destroyed everything good in my life was suffocating me. I had tried everything to fix it. I had worked harder, pushed longer, pretended stronger. But that night, sitting alone in my apartment as the clock struck midnight, I finally admitted the truth I had been running from. I couldn't save myself. I had nothing left to give. This was my breaking point, and I was completely, utterly broken. I'm not sure you could even call it a prayer. It wasn't eloquent. There were no fancy words or theological precision. It was just raw desperation spilling out into the darkness. If you're real, if you're there, ... I need help. I can't do this anymore. That's all I had. No bargaining, no promises of being better. Just honest, naked need. And here rests what I've ever learned since that night. Sometimes the most powerful prayers are the ones we can barely whisper through tears. The ones where we stop performing and start. I had spent years trying to earn worthiness, trying to be good enough, trying to prove I deserved help. But in that moment, I had nothing to offer. No righteousness, no track record of perfect behavior, just a broken person admitting they couldn't go on alone. And somehow, that was exactly what needed to happen. Because grace doesn't wait for us to clean up, first it meets us in the mess. Exactly 7 minutes after midnight, my phone rang. At that hour, a phone call usually means bad news, but this call was different. It was a friend I had spoken to in over 2 years. Someone who had drifted out of my life during my spiral downward. "I know this is going to sound crazy," she said, "but I woke up with this overwhelming feeling that I needed to call you right now. Are you okay?" I couldn't speak. I just broke down, and she stayed on the line. For 3 hours, she stayed. She didn't judge. She didn't preach. She just listened and reminded me that I wasn't alone. Looking back, I can see it clearly now. That wasn't coincidence. That was intervention. That was grace using human hands, and a late-night phone call to pull me back from the edge. She had no way of knowing what I was going through, no logical reason to wake up in the middle of the night thinking of me. But she listened to that small voice, and it saved my life. Over the next 48 hours, something inexplicable began to happen. Opportunities appeared that had no business appearing. A job offer came from a connection I'd met years ago at a random event. A medical bill that should have destroyed me was suddenly covered by a program I didn't know existed. A family member I'd had a falling out would reached out to reconcile. None of these things were things I orchestrated. I was still barely functioning, still processing what had happened at midnight hour. But doors were opening, paths were clearing, and I started to understand something profound. Grace doesn't just save us in the moment, it rebuilds what we thought was permanently destroyed. These weren't just lucky breaks. They were too precisely timed, too perfectly aligned with exactly what I needed. It was as if the entire universe had shifted to catch me in my fall. And the more I paid attention, the more I saw the fingerprints of something far greater than chance working in my favor. Here's the part that still overwhelms me when I think about it. I didn't deserve any of this. I'm not saying that from false humility, I mean it genuinely. My mistakes were real. My failures were legitimate. I had hurt people. I had made terrible choices. I had walked away from everything I knew was right. By every measure of fairness, I should have faced the full consequences of my actions. And yet, here was mercy unearned, undeserved, freely given. That's what grace is. It's not getting what we deserve. It's receiving what we could never earn. This truth challenged everything I thought I knew about how life works. We're taught that we get what we work for, that success comes to those who earn it, that favor follows good behavior, but grace operates on a completely different economy. Grace gives, not because we're worthy, but because of its own nature. And that midnight miracle taught me that no matter how far I had fallen, I was never beyond the reach of redemption. The changes didn't happen overnight, but they did happen. Slowly, consistently. I started rebuilding. Not through my own strength. I had already proven I didn't have enough of that, but through a new understanding that I was undoing this alone. I started making decisions differently. Instead of operating from fear and shame, I started operating from gratitude and trust. I reached out for help instead of hiding. I admitted when I was struggling instead of pretending I was fine. I let people see the real me, mess and all, and something beautiful emerged. Relationships healed. Purpose returned. The darkness that had felt permanent began to lift. I'm not saying life became perfect, it didn't. Challenges still came, but I faced them with a new foundation, a new strength that wasn't my own. That midnight moment had fundamentally changed me. I had been saved by something I couldn't see but could no longer deny. Since that night, I've had moments of profound gratitude for what I almost missed. Birthdays, with family, sunrises I never thought I'd see, conversations with new friends who have become central to my life, opportunities to help others who are where I was. Every single one of these moments is a gift. I almost rejected that midnight hour, and it's made me realize how many people are standing at that same edge right now, convinced their story is over, unable to see what's waiting on the other side of surrender. If I had succeeded in ending my story that night, I would have missed the miracle. I would have missed the transformation. I would have missed the joy that came from being rebuilt, and most tragically, I would have missed discovering that grace was there all along, waiting for me to stop running and just receive. This is why I'm sharing this story, because someone needs to hear that their midnight moment is zoomed. The end it sets the setup for their miracle. Someone needs to know that grace is still operating, still intervening, still transforming lives in the darkest hours. So here I am, 3 years later, living a life I never thought possible. Not because I figured it all out, not because I suddenly became strong enough, but because grace met me at midnight when I had nothing left to give. If you in your midnight moment right now, if you reading this and feeling like there is no way forward, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not beyond help. Your story is not over. The very fact that you're watching this video, that something prompted you to click on this message, might just be your phone call at midnight. Your first sign that grace is already moving. Don't wait until you feel worthy. Don't wait until you've cleaned up your life. Reach out. Whisper that prayer. Make that call. Take that first step toward help. Because grace doesn't require you to be perfect, it only requires you to be willing. I was saved by grace at my midnight hour. And that same grace is available to you right now, exactly where you are. Your miracle might be closer than you think. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share what you're walking through. You don't have to share details. Just let us know you're here. Sometimes the first step toward healing is simply saying, I need help. And please, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. These stories matter. Your story matters. And together, we're recreating a community that reminds each other that no midnight is too dark for grace to reach. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are seen, you are loved, and your story isn't over.